Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is Abdulaziz Al-Inazi, and today we're going to work with you guys on some reading. So, Unit 5, page 56 and 57. So, the objective of this lesson is to identify the main idea of the text, also identify word meaning in the context. So, before we start, let's explain what does the word the mind mean. So the name of the unit is the mind. Okay, so the mind is about how people feel about something. So it's related to emotions like happiness, sadness, and other states of mind. So rereading, before we read, guys, we have questions to discuss. So the first question, what are some of the things that make you happy? So answers here will vary. So الإجابات هنا تتنوع تختلف من شخص إلى شخص. But let's say being with my family and my children, with my friends, eating a nice meal, reading a good book, all these things make me happy. So do you think that happiness is a relative state? So I would say yes, because people interact differently with some events. So now we're almost like have an idea about what we are going to read. So let's move to the next step. So reading for jest, what does that mean? It means you're looking for the essence, like you don't have to read the whole text, but to focus on the topic sentence, guys. So you read the first and the second sentence of each part of the paragraph. طيب reading for just انك ما تقرا النص كامل، تركز على النقاط الأساسية أول جملة ثاني جملة, and then you get an idea about what you are reading. So in this paragraph the answer is C. You're reading an article from a magazine. So now let's move to the next part, which is the article. So here, as you see here, the article, the writer starts with the questions. Are you happy? The title of this article is Are you happy? Why is that? Why the writer choose a question instead? So some writers, so this is a way people used to do, like to attract people. So يختلف الأسلوب من شخص لآخر ليجذب القارئ. So we have here reading for details. What does that mean? إنك تقرأ تفاصيل، تقرأ النص كامل, read the whole text. Why? In order to answer all the questions from 1 to 7, from 1 to 7. So, before we read, we need to read the questions here. So the question says, read the text again and answer the question. So I assume that we already read because of the second part, which is reading for jest. So now we read the questions and then we're going to read the article. So let's check the first two questions. The first question says, what was true of people 40 years ago? So we have options here. They were richer, they were generally happier, they had a reasonable amount of material positions. So D, they were generally less happy. Number 2, what fact surprises most people? And then we have options here. Number 3, what happens when people discover something bad is about to happen? Number 4, what happened each time the rat pressed the handle? Number 5, according to the writer, what do we need to do to be happy? Number 6, how does one achieve the flu? What does it in line 40 refer to? So now, this is one of the way in order to answer the questions correctly is to read the questions before you read. so you get a general idea about the questions, and then you go back and read the text, and then try to underline the answers that you think may answer your questions. So let's read together. Everyone wants to be happy, but it seems that not many can achieve happiness. There are some clues, however, as to what makes us happy. We know, for example, that it's necessary to have a reasonable, so here a reasonable highlighted with yellow, so we will get back to it, amount of material possession, but more than that doesn't make much difference. On average, people in America and Europe are twice as wealthy as they were 40 years ago. Yet, surveys show that they are not as happy. In fact, in many cases, they are less so. So let's move to the second part. It's not surprising that people have a large circle of a friend are usually happier than those who do not have much of social life, and that healthy people are happier than sick people. What's surprising to most of us is that disabled people have the same possibility for happiness as the rest of us do. Even people who have been seriously injured in an accident describe themselves as happy 3 weeks afterwards. The truth is that happiness is a relative state. If you discover that something absolutely awful is going to happen, then the life you had been leading up to that point can seem like absolute bliss. So here bliss means being thankful, happy. Although you probably thought it was miserable while you were living it. The fourth part, it seems, however, that those of who are lucky enough to achieve happiness are going to mess it up anyway. Unfortunately, many of the things that make us happy are also the things that we can become addicted to. In order to prove this, scientists carried out experiment. They attached electrodes to a rat's brain and then connected them to a handle and the animal's gauge. So it could directly stimulate. Stimulate here means what? Activate. It's a pleasure centers. By pressing the handle, the result was that the rat kept on pressing the handle instead of eating or drinking. Humans are different from rats because they are a bit more complicated, but research has shown that they too can fall into this trap. One of the reasons we have such a problem with happiness is that we confuse it with a life untouched by negative feelings such as anxiety, rage, doubt, or sadness. We have a naive belief that happiness means that nothing ever goes wrong. So naive here means simple or lack of experience. In order to be happy, we need to come to terms with a few truths. We must learn how to live contentedly with the negative elements of life, rather than attempting to live a life where nothing bad ever happens. A professor at the University of Chicago, Mihaly, has spent a great deal of time researching happiness and has provided us with some food for thought. He believes that the key to happiness is something that he calls the flow. The flow is the state you are in when you are doing something that completely absorbs you. It comes when you are pushed right up to the limit of your ability, but not beyond it. So people can get a feeling of a flu from dangerous sports like climbing, mountain climbing, or driving fast. But it can also come from less strenuous pursuit, like painting or reading a great book. The point is that people do these things because they want to and not because they are looking for some kind of reward. The really curious thing is that despite the fact that we are familiar with what makes us feel good, we still do not do those things very much. For example, a study showed that while playing sports, people have a flow of 35%, whereas when they are watching television, they have no flow at all, yet they watch TV for 10 times as long as they spend playing sports. A good measuring stick for those of us who are desperately seeking happiness is asking ourselves, is what I am doing today contributing to the things that are most important in my life? If not, why are you doing it? So now we have read the article, so we need to answer the questions here. So let's check the first one. The first one says, what was true of people 40 years ago? So I think this part is in the first part of the paragraph. So let's go back again and check. So line 5, yes. People in America, on average, people in America and Europe are twice as wealthy as they were 40 years ago. Yet surveys shows that they are not as happy, in fact, many of the cases. So the answer here would be B. Perfect. So now number 2, what fact surprises most people? So the option that disabled people are not generally unhappy, that people who do not have much of social life are not happy, C, that people with busy social lives are happy, D, that sick people are unhappy. So let's check the answer here. The answer is A. If you look back here, so the answer will be shown up. What's surprising to most of people, most of us, is that disabled people have the same possibility for happiness as the rest of us do. C. What happens when people discover something bad is about to happen? They feel miserable. They feel like they have been leading meaningless lives up to the point. They feel like their previously unbearable lives weren't that bad after all. They feel their lives couldn't be any way worse than they already are. So to answer this, I think the answer here would be C. So let's check the answer. So in line 14, 15, if you discover that something absolutely awful is going to happen, then the life you had been leading up to the point can seem like absolute bliss. Number 4, what happened each time the rat pressed the handle? A, its appetite disappeared. Number 2, it fell into a trap. It ate and drank. D, it felt very good. I think the answer here is what? D. Number 5, according to the writer, what do we need to do to be happy? Live without negative feelings. B, make sure that nothing goes wrong. C, learn to accept that life is something difficult. D, kept our lives free of bad things. So I think the answer here would be C, except the fact is, in order to be happy, we need to come to terms with a few truths. We must learn how to live, and then with the negative elements of life rather than attempting, etc. Number 6, how does one achieve the flow? Line 38. So the answer here would be A, by doing something that one really likes. So if you check the answer here, the flow is the state you are in when you are doing something that you completely absorb you. So you're doing something that you love, doing something that you love. Number 7, what does it in line 40 refer to? What does it so the answer here is the limit. Yes, the limit of your ability. So let's check the answer. It comes when you are pushed right up to the limit of your ability, but not beyond it. So that's for let's say reading for detail. So you read the text, you read the questions. So this is one of the techniques. You read the questions, understand them, and then go back and read the text, and then underline the related word, and then you read the questions again and then answer them. تقرأ الأسئلة تفهمها، تنتقل للنص، تربط الكلمات المشابهة أو الكي ووردز، الكلمات اللي لها علاقة في الأسئلة، فترجع مرة ثانية للنص وتختار الإجابة الصحيحة that make sense. Guessing the meaning of unknown words. طيب هنا كيف نخمن معنى الكلمة في النص. طيب look at the word highlighted in the text. Guess what are they? Choose A, B or C. So these are highlighted in the text. لو لاحظتوا في النص كان فيه كلمات highlighted with yellow. So let's check the first one. Reasonable. Reasonable. So reasonable here, let's check. Correct, I don't think is the answer. So maybe fairly large or too big. So reasonable means what, guys? Logical, منطقي, logical, or let's say realistic. So now number 2, bless. Bless means happiness, emptiness, truth. So bless means being thankful. So the answer is what? A. Number 3, stimulate. So stimulate, here we have active, prevent, remove. So stimulate means what? Stimulate means, let's say active, awaken, etc. So the answer here means what? Active. Naive. So naive means here unrealistic, which is lack of experience or simple, maybe hard, etc. Strenuous here means what? Demanding, needy. So at the end here, let's say to sum up the text, after that we can say that gaining money doesn't make you happy. Also people with disability are also as happy as healthy people. And then let's say finally happiness sometimes let's say can be dangerous. For example, playing video games. They are fun, but it's easy to get addicted to. So it can be in both ways. So again, we have reading for just, we have reading for just and reading for details. So reading for just, you read the first sentence of each paragraph to get a general idea about what you are reading, and then you decide which one is the best, let's say, to answer this question. So where might this text come from? So, and then reading for details, so to read every single word in the text, but and then try to understand them in order to answer. So reading for just reading without paying attention to the unfamiliar word, but in reading for details, you read the whole text. And thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of the day.